welcome to an algebra tutorial working our way through linear graphs, understanding how lines and linear equations work. In particular, we're going to go over finding how to get the slope of a line if all we have is 2 points listed out in coordinate form. So here we go, we got 2 points. We got blue point, which is -9, -30. And I'm going to go ahead and label that. That means that my -9 is an x value, x1, and my -30 is my y value. So there's 1 point, an x and y value that I can plot. And I got another point, 17. That's my x value for my second point. And 124 is my y value for my second point. So just making some observations, we're going from -9 to 17. So I'm increasing kind of by a lot in my x values. But my y values, I'm going from -30 all the way up to 124. That's a huge increase. So my slope is going to be positive. I can tell that just by the fact that my y values are getting bigger. So it's always a good idea to think, am I going to get a positive slope or am I going to get a negative slope based on what I'm given? You can estimate that pretty quick. Okay, but now let's get tangible. Let's define what slope is. So we've talked about slope is the average rate of change between 2 points. And to find that, we look for how much change is happening in the y values divided by how much change is happening in my x values. Related to that, I can also think, okay, the change in y, well, that's just find 2 points and subtract the y values, and that tells you how much change is happening. And then if I take the same 2 points and subtract the x values, that tells me how much change is happening in my x values. So for this particular problem, when I'm given 2 points and I know the x values and y values for both points, it's probably just easiest to use this formula, subtract things out and find what we have going on. So let's go ahead and do that here. We've got y2, what's my y value for my second point? That's going to be 124. So I'm going to take 124 and I'm going to subtract from that the y value of my first point, which is -30. Be careful with negatives. I don't want to lose that negative with the 30, so I'm going to put parentheses to know that I'm subtracting a -30. There's going to give me the change in my y values. Now I got to find the change in my x values. So I led with this point, so now I got to put x2, this x value from the second point is 17, and I'm going to subtract from that the x value of the first point, which is -9. I'm going to again use parentheses to keep things straight here. Okay, so 124 minus -30 ends up being 124 plus 30. That gives me 154 for my change in y values. That's how much I increased my y values between those 2 points. While I was increasing in my y values, we also changed by 17 minus -9 is 17 plus 9, which is a change of 26. All right, that's awesome. So when we increased our x values by 26, we increased our y values 154. Let's see, 26 goes into 154. Let's see, I'm pulling out my calculator. 154 divided by 26. It goes in 5 whole times. And 5 times 26 is 130, which means that there's 24 left over out of my 26. And I can reduce that down to 12/13. So my slope is 5 and 12/13. So it's a kind of an odd number, but there you go. That tells me every time my x value changes by 1, my y values increase by 5 and 12/13. All right, hopefully that was a helpful tutorial for you. You have a better understanding of what the slope is and how to find it based on the information you're given.